Hello, I'm Joe Eichberg, and I'm pleased to contribute some comments and recollections on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the ASN. I'm a professor of biology and biochemistry emeritus, retired from the University of Houston. I was born in New York City in 1935 and attended MIT as an undergraduate and Harvard as a graduate student. In my senior year at MIT, as the result of a biochemistry course, I was immensely attracted to the field. And by the time I finished my PhD, I knew I wanted to focus my research in neurochemistry. Among my most influential mentors were Manfred Karnofsky, my graduate advisor, who taught me the discipline and persistence necessary for successful research, Rex Dawson, my postdoctoral sponsor, in whose lab I was very productive, and finally, Jordi Fulch. From the time I joined the McLean lab in 1964, remaining there for 10 years, Jordi was always very supportive. I vividly remember his excitement on the day that I learned that I had obtained my first NIH grant. Among other members of the lab who were important to me were Margie Lees and my longtime collaborator and friend, George Hauser. Of the group who worked under Jordi's guidance, which I always thought of as inspirational biochemistry, I must be among the last surviving members. Being at the McLean, I was well aware of the formation of the ASN. I attended the first meeting in Albuquerque in 1970 and recall staying at a Motel 6 at a time when the price really was $6 a night. For the first 40 years of the Society's existence, I attended nearly all the meetings, and although I haven't been recently, I am still an emeritus member. Many of my long-lasting professional friendships were fostered and maintained through the ASN, and in particular, I'd like to mention Bernie Agranoff, Joyce Benjamins, Steve Fisher, George DeVries, and Bob Gould. I could mention many more. I think the small size of the Society and the resultant ease of contacts is a particularly attractive feature. Another advantage is the ability of the Society to meet in a variety of interesting places, including international venues at a time of the periodic meetings with the ISN. I believe the officers and council members of the ASN have very capably led the Society through what have sometimes been difficult periods. For example, owing to the rise in prominence of cellular and molecular biology, I remember long running arguments as to whether the name of the Society should be changed and whether its existence indeed was a hindrance to recruiting new members. I, for one, am glad that the name was kept. I've also been pleased to contribute to the governance of the Society, serving on the council and as chair of the Jordi Fulch Award Committee for some years. Over its 50-year history, I think the quality of the oral and poster sessions and of the plenary speakers has been very high. I also remember events that took place outside of the meeting sessions. At the March 1977 meeting in Denver, a group of us decided to take time off and take a trip to Vail, which could then only be reached by going over a high pass. As soon as we arrived, it began to snow. And very shortly thereafter, all roads were closed except to vehicles with chains. Of necessity, we purchased a set and put them on. And when we had driven to lower altitudes, they had to be removed. Fortunately, I was able to dispose of them by selling them to an hotel employee. Other memorable meetings included the one in La Guaira, Venezuela in 1987, held jointly with the ISN, in what, perhaps for the first time, in what seemed like an exotic tropical setting. Then there were the meetings in Houston, two in fact, at which I was privileged to be on the host committee, ably chaired by Bernie Faber. As a final word, I believe the ASN members should remain true to and perpetuate the unique nature of the Society. If this happens, I think the ASN will have a glorious next 50 years and will act as an exemplar how a small society can be a wellspring for the communication of new scientific results and ideas that will contribute significantly to our knowledge of the chemistry and biology of the nervous system.